exploring the darkest legends of Chernobyl's mutants. Hey there, folks. Imagine flying over a landscape where time has stood still, crumbling Soviet-era buildings draped in overgrown vines, empty streets swallowed by the forest, and an eerie silence that's almost deafening. The sun is setting over the Chernobyl exclusion zone, casting long, haunting shadows across the abandoned town of Pripyat. The only sounds are the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of birds reclaiming the land. It's both beautiful and chilling, like stepping into a real-life ghost story. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and haunting places on Earth, Chernobyl. You've probably heard the stories, the whispers of mutant creatures lurking in the shadows, tales of unnatural beings that send chills down your spine. It's a place where reality and legend intertwine, and we're here to untangle the truth. So, here's the big question. Are the mutant stories just wild myths spun from imagination, or is there some truth hiding in the overgrown streets and decaying buildings of Chernobyl? Grab your favorite snack, settle in, and let's embark on this eerie journey together. The catastrophe that changed everything. Alright, let's set the scene. It's April 26, 1986, a date that would change the world forever. In the early hours of the morning, technicians at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant were running a safety test on Reactor 4. Due to a combination of flawed reactor design and serious mistakes made by the plant operators, the reactor went out of control. At 1:23 a.m., a massive explosion blew the 1,000-ton steel and concrete lid right off the reactor. Flames shot into the sky, and a radioactive cloud began to spread. To put it into perspective, the explosion released radiation at least 400 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. In the days following the disaster, the Soviet government evacuated over 100,000 people from the surrounding areas. They established the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a 30-kilometer radius where human habitation was prohibited due to dangerous radiation levels. The city of Pripyat, once a thriving community of nearly 50,000 people, was abandoned almost overnight. Residents left behind their homes, belongings, and memories, expecting to return soon. But as we know now, they never did. Fast forward to today, and the exclusion zone remains a time capsule of 1986. Walking through Pripyat feels like stepping into a post-apocalyptic movie. Schools with children's artwork still hanging on the walls, toys scattered in playgrounds, and that famous Ferris wheel, intended to be a centerpiece for May Day celebrations, now stands silent and rusted. Radiation warning signs are everywhere, and nature has begun to reclaim the area. Trees grow through the floors of buildings, and wildlife roams the empty streets. It's hauntingly beautiful and serves as a stark reminder of the disaster's impact. Birth of the mutant legends. In the chaotic aftermath, stories began to circulate among the liquidators, the brave souls who worked to contain the disaster. They spoke of strange occurrences, animals acting unusually, plants growing in distorted shapes, and sightings of creatures that defied explanation. There were whispers of giant spiders, birds with multiple wings, and fish that glowed in the dark. For people already dealing with an unprecedented catastrophe, these tales added another layer of fear. At the time, the Soviet government maintained tight control over information. The lack of transparency fueled speculation and fear. Early news reports were vague, and rumors filled the void where facts should have been. International media picked up on these stories, and without solid information, the line between reality and fiction blurred. It was like a game of telephone, with each retelling adding more sensational details. The idea of Chernobyl as a land inhabited by mutants captured the public's imagination. Artists, writers, and filmmakers began exploring these themes, creating works that ranged from the allegorical to the outright fantastical. Literature and films depicted Chernobyl as a wasteland teeming with mutated creatures, a symbol of humanity's folly and the unpredictable power of nature. The most infamous legends. First up is the legend of the black stork, a mysterious, giant bird said to stalk the skies over Chernobyl. Locals claim that it's a mutated creature, ominous and foreboding. Some say that seeing the black stork is a bad omen, a sign that misfortune is near. Eyewitness accounts describe it as larger than any normal stork, with dark feathers and an unsettling presence. But is there any truth to this? Well, the black stork is an actual species, albeit rare and shy. They prefer secluded areas away from humans, so it's possible that sightings of this elusive bird have been amplified into legend. Next, we have the tales of radioactive wolves. Stories abound of aggressive wolves with glowing eyes that roam the exclusion zone. People speak of packs that aren't afraid of humans, wolves that are larger, smarter, and more cunning than their typical counterparts. These legends have fueled many fears among those living near the zone's borders. However, while wolves have indeed returned to the area in significant numbers, studies suggest they're behaving much like any other wolf population. They might seem bold simply because they've reclaimed a territory devoid of humans. Perhaps one of the most popular myths is about the gigantic catfish residing in the cooling ponds near the reactor. Visitors have reported seeing catfish the size of sharks, leading to wild theories about radiation-induced gigantism. But before you envision a monstrous fish lurking beneath the waters, let's consider some facts. Catfish are known to grow large, especially when they have abundant food and few predators. The warm waters of the cooling ponds provide an ideal environment for them to thrive. So, while the catfish in Chernobyl might be impressive in size, it's likely more about ideal conditions than mutations. Then there's the most unsettling legend of all: humanoid mutants roaming the ruins of Pripyat. Tales tell of people twisted by radiation into something other than human, lurking in the shadows, and haunting the abandoned buildings. Some say they've seen figures darting between trees, heard strange whispers, or felt an inexplicable sense of dread. These stories have been popularized in video games and movies, adding fuel to the fire. But in reality, there's no evidence to support the existence of such beings. Still, it's a testament to how deeply the disaster has ingrained itself in our collective psyche. Investigating the evidence. So, what does science have to say about all this? Over the years, numerous research teams have ventured into the exclusion zone to study its unique environment. Using everything from motion-activated cameras to drones and radiation detectors, scientists have been able to monitor wildlife with minimal disturbance. These studies aim to understand how radiation has affected animal populations and ecosystems. There's plenty of footage out there claiming to show mutant animals, especially on the internet where sensationalism thrives. However, most of these images lack credibility. Blurry photos, misidentified species, and even doctored images contribute to the mythos but don't hold up under scrutiny. For example, a deer with a deformity might be presented as a mutant, when such anomalies can occur naturally anywhere. We reached out to experts in the field, biologists, ecologists, and radiation specialists, to get their insights. They explain that while radiation can lead to mutations, the majority are either lethal or have minimal impact on the organism's outward appearance. Dramatic mutations that result in entirely new species or monstrous forms are, frankly, the stuff of science fiction. The consensus is that while some genetic changes have been observed, they're not the kind that fuel these wild legends. The reality of mutation. Let's take a moment to understand how radiation affects living organisms. Radiation can damage DNA, leading to mutations. Most mutations are neutral or harmful, rarely are they beneficial. Harmful mutations often result in reduced survival or fertility, meaning they don't usually persist in populations. Moreover, the idea that radiation can cause rapid, large-scale changes in complex organisms is a misconception. That said, scientists have documented some effects of radiation on local flora and fauna. For instance, there have been reports of birds with cataracts and other health issues linked to radiation exposure. Some plants exhibit growth anomalies, and certain insect populations have decreased in heavily contaminated areas. But these changes are subtle and not the dramatic mutations seen in movies. Interestingly, the absence of humans has had a significant positive impact on wildlife. Many species have returned to the area, and biodiversity has increased. Predators like wolves and lynx are thriving, and herbivores like deer and wild boar roam freely. The ecosystem has adapted in unexpected ways, showing a resilience that challenges our understanding of environmental recovery. Nature's resilience, the wildlife sanctuary. Here's a twist: despite the radiation, the exclusion zone has become a de facto wildlife sanctuary. Without human interference, nature has begun to reclaim the land in remarkable ways. Forests have expanded, rivers run clear, and meadows bloom where buildings once stood. It's like nature hit the reset button, showcasing its incredible ability to heal. Some of the most exciting developments are the return of rare and endangered species. The European lynx, brown bears, and even packs of wild Przewalski horses, once extinct in the wild, now call Chernobyl home. These animals thrive partly because the area is free from hunting, farming, and urban development. It's an unintended but fascinating outcome of the disaster. Studies have found that animal populations inside the exclusion zone are comparable to, or even greater than, those in uncontaminated reserves. While radiation does have biological effects, the lack of human presence appears to be a more significant factor in the resurgence of wildlife. It's a complex and somewhat paradoxical situation that challenges our perceptions of contamination and ecosystem health. The power of myth and media. Chernobyl's mystique has heavily influenced pop culture. Video games like Stalker and Call of Duty: Modern Warfare depict the exclusion zone as a dangerous place filled with anomalies and mutants. These fictional portrayals blend fact and fantasy, contributing to the global fascination with Chernobyl. They tap into our fears and curiosities, but they also blur the lines between reality and fiction. In recent years, Chernobyl has become a tourist destination for those intrigued by its history and atmosphere. Guided tours allow visitors to explore parts of the exclusion zone, and some seek the thrill of encountering something unexplained. While tourism brings attention and revenue, it also raises questions about respecting the site's history and the potential risks involved. So, why are we drawn to these eerie stories? Psychologists suggest that mysterious and frightening tales appeal to our innate desire to make sense of the unknown. They provide a way to process complex emotions and fears, especially related to technology and disaster. In settings like Chernobyl, where the environment is already otherworldly, our minds are primed to fill in the gaps with imagination. Ethical and social considerations. As we delve into these legends, it's important to remember the real human impact of the Chernobyl disaster. Many people lost their lives, health, and homes. Families were displaced, and entire communities were uprooted. Discussing myths without acknowledging this reality can be insensitive to those who suffered and continue to be affected. Spreading sensational stories can contribute to misinformation and unnecessary fear. It can overshadow the genuine scientific and environmental issues that deserve attention. Moreover, perpetuating myths can stigmatize the region and its people, hindering recovery and understanding. As content creators and consumers, we have a responsibility to distinguish between fact and fiction. Enjoying a good story is one thing, but it's crucial to promote accurate information, especially on topics with serious real-world implications. Critical thinking and a healthy dose of skepticism go a long way in navigating these complex narratives. We've journeyed through the shadows of Chernobyl, exploring legends that range from the eerie to the fantastical. While the idea of mutants roaming the exclusion zone is intriguing, the reality is both more nuanced and, in many ways, more fascinating. The true story is one of nature's resilience and the unexpected ways ecosystems can adapt and recover. Chernobyl stands as a powerful reminder of the consequences of human actions and the fragility of our environment. But it also offers a message of hope, showing that even in the wake of disaster, life finds a way to endure and flourish. By understanding the past, we can learn valuable lessons for the future. As the sun sets over the silent ruins of Pripyat, casting a golden glow over the decaying structures, we're left with a sense of awe. The exclusion zone is a place where history, science, and myth intersect, a testament to both the destructive and healing forces of our world. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey. If you've got thoughts, questions, or personal stories about Chernobyl and its legends, I'd love to hear them. Drop a comment below, and let's get the conversation started. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more adventures, and share it with friends who love a good mystery. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.